All right, so looks like we've got a pretty hefty stack of info here all about Broxel.
Yeah.
Looks like you're really interested in kind of getting a handle on their financial services,
Mm.
what they offer, how it all works, and, is it right for you?
Right.
We're seeing a lot about peso and dollar accounts, credit lines, even something called a Boveda virtual.
Yeah, it seems like Broxel is really trying to position themselves as that one-stop shop for your finances,
Okay.
especially if you're dealing with both Mexican pesos and U.S. dollars.
Yeah, I'm picking up on that one-stop shop vibe, too.
Yeah.
Their website keeps mentioning these 4 core solutions.
Okay.
The peso MasterCard, the dollar MasterCard, a virtual credit line,
Uh-huh.
and then there's this Boveda virtual that's really caught my eye.
Oh, interesting.
They're touting a 10% annual return,
Wow.
which honestly sounds a little too good to be true.
A 10% return is definitely going to turn some heads.
Right.
It's significantly higher than what you would typically find with a traditional savings account.
Yeah.
But before getting swept up in the excitement, it's crucial to understand what's happening under the hood.
Okay.
What kind of investment strategy is backing this Boveda virtual, and what are the potential risks involved?
Yeah.
That's something you'll want to investigate carefully.
For sure. For sure. I'm also curious about this emphasis on having 4 solutions in one place. Is that something that really resonates with people? I mean, is the convenience factor a major selling point for you when it comes to financial services?
Convenience is definitely a big factor.
Yeah.
In today's fast-paced world, people are looking for solutions that simplify their lives.
For sure.
And having all their financial tools in one place can be very appealing.
Right.
But it's also important to make sure that convenience doesn't come at the expense of other factors like security, transparency, and of course, understanding the fine print.
Yeah. Okay, let's zoom in on this peso MasterCard for a moment.
Okay.
Broxel's website highlights its wide acceptance, usable online, in apps, and at physical stores.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be going for maximum usability here.
Yeah.
Thinking about your own spending habits, where would a card like this be most useful for you?
For me, the key would be how seamlessly it integrates with my existing financial habits.
Okay.
Is it easy to track transactions, manage my balance, and transfer funds?
Yeah.
Does it offer any perks or rewards that align with my spending patterns?
Right.
Those are the things I'd be looking at.
Good points.
Yeah.
Now let's circle back to this Boveda virtual and that eye-catching 10% return.
Okay.
They're positioning it as both high yield and D-secure,
Mm-hmm.
which honestly raises a few eyebrows. It feels like there's got to be more to the story.
There's always a trade-off somewhere.
Right?
And that's especially true in finance.
Yeah.
When you see a return that's significantly higher than the market average,
Yeah.
it's essential to understand the underlying mechanisms and the level of risk involved.
Okay.
Think of it like this. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
That's a great way to put it. I'm also curious about this virtual credit line they offer. It's marketed as a quick solution for everyday needs or those unexpected expenses, all accessible directly through their app. Have you ever been in a situation where having instant access to credit would have been a lifesaver?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And how do you think Broxel's approach stacks up against other credit options out there?
Instant access to credit can definitely be a lifesaver in certain situations.
Right.
But it's also important to use it responsibly and to understand the terms and conditions.
Okay.
What are the interest rates? Are there any fees associated with the line of credit?
Yeah.
And how does it impact your credit score?
Right.
These are all questions you'll want to consider before tapping into any credit line.
Absolutely. It's all about making informed decisions.
Right.
Speaking of which, here's something I haven't seen from many other financial services, a family plan.
Oh, interesting.
Broxel is allowing parents to give their children, presumably minors, their first card experience, and they're putting a lot of emphasis on parental controls, setting limits on when and where the card can be used, even down to specific stores and spending amounts. It's interesting that they're emphasizing this aspect of financial education and parental control.
We are seeing a growing trend of financial literacy tools being integrated into banking services.
Right.
But it's crucial to assess whether these tools are genuinely effective or just a marketing tactic.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if this is a genuine effort to empower families or just another way to attract customers.
Yeah.
They keep mentioning teaching kids how to manage money responsibly, which is a noble goal, but it's also smart marketing.
It's definitely a combination of both.
Right.
The question is, are there better, more engaging ways to teach kids about financial literacy than simply giving them a card with restrictions?
Yeah.
That's something for parents to consider.
Okay. Let's explore this Broxel Pay app.
Right.
It seems to have all the standard features you'd expect: checking balances, transferring money, viewing transaction history, managing your PN, but then they throw in some less common features that are piquing my curiosity.
Let's hear about those less common features. What caught your attention?
Well, you can activate or deactivate your card right from the app, which seems like a great security feature.
Oh, okay.
Then there's this CobraCon unlink thing that lets you receive payments through a WhatsApp link, either by card or transfer.
Interesting.
And get this, you can even open a US dollar account directly through the app.
These features definitely reinforce Broxel's focus on convenience and cross-border functionality.
Yeah.
The integration with WhatsApp is particularly interesting. It taps into the popularity of messaging apps and the growing trend of incorporating financial transactions into platforms people already use every day.
It's definitely a sign of the times. And it makes you wonder what other everyday apps might start incorporating financial services in the future.
It's an interesting thought experiment.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to send money to a friend as easily as you send a text message.
Okay, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, there's one more feature in the Broxel Pay app that really stood out to me.
All right.
The ability to customize how your card is used. You can set limits on where, when, and how much can be spent.
That level of control is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It seems like they're trying to give users a lot of flexibility and peace of mind when it comes to managing their finances.
It's almost like giving yourself a set of financial guardrails.
Yeah.
You can set those limits and boundaries to help you stay on track with your budget and avoid overspending.
And for parents, that level of control can be especially helpful when introducing their kids to the world of finance.
Right.
They can set those limits to ensure their children are using the card responsibly and within predetermined boundaries.
Exactly. It's like training wheels for financial literacy. We've covered a lot of ground with Broxel's core offerings.
Yeah.
But just when you think they've covered every base, they hit you with a whole list of additional services.
Let me guess. Travel club bill payment insurance.
You nailed it. A travel club with discounts up to 60% bill payment for all your utilities and services, and even insurance options for hospital and funeral expenses.
Wow.
Plus, they make a point of emphasizing their competitive rates for receiving money from the U.S.,
Okay.
which I'm sure is a big selling point for a lot of people.
It definitely seems like they're trying to become that one-stop shop, that comprehensive financial platform that covers all the bases.
Yeah.
But remember, it's always important to compare their offerings with those of their competitors.
Right.
Do they really offer the best rates for receiving money from the U.S.?
Yeah.
Are their insurance options competitive?
Good point.
Those are the kinds of questions you'll want to ask yourself.
Absolutely. Don't just take their word for it. Always do your homework.
Yeah.
And to top it all up, they've got this Broxel Empresas thing aimed at businesses.
That's interesting.
It's not super detailed on their website,
Okay.
but it looks like they offer everything from electronic food vouchers to some kind of resource allocation platform.
That's interesting. It sounds like they're trying to cater to a wide range of business needs as well.
Definitely something worth exploring further if you're a business owner.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground with Broxel's personal offerings. Let's shift our focus now to Broxel Empresas and what they offer for businesses.
Right.
They mention electronic food vouchers.
Okay.
What exactly are those and how do they work?
Electronic food vouchers are essentially digital versions of traditional paper vouchers.
Okay.
They can be used to purchase food and other eligible items at participating retailers.
So instead of handing out physical vouchers, businesses can simply distribute these electronic vouchers to their employees.
Exactly. It's a more efficient and secure way to manage employee benefits.
And what about this resource allocation platform that Broxel mentions? What can you tell us about that?
Unfortunately, the website doesn't provide a lot of detail on that specific feature.
Okay.
It likely refers to a system that helps businesses manage their finances and allocate resources effectively.
So it could be anything from budgeting tools to expense tracking to project management features.
Exactly. It's hard to say for sure without more information.
It sounds like we'll need to do a little more digging on that front.
Definitely. If you're a business owner considering Broxel Empresas, it would be worth reaching out to them directly to get more detailed information about their offerings.
Okay, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
It's clear Broxel is trying to paint a picture of convenience and accessibility. They're offering a wide range of services targeting both individuals and businesses, all accessible through a single platform.
Right.
But is it all it's cracked up to be?
Yeah.
That's the question we're going to explore in the next part of this deep dive.
We'll delve into the potential drawbacks, the things you need to watch out for,
right,
and the questions you should be asking before making any decisions about Broxel.
Okay.
We'll also compare their offerings to those of their competitors to give you a well-rounded perspective. So we've seen the shiny surface of Broxel's offerings. But like with any financial service, it's important to look beyond the marketing and understand the details, especially when it comes to things like fees and potential downsides.
Exactly. It's easy to get swept away by promises of convenience and high returns.
Yeah.
But as we all know, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right?
Right. And one of the things that immediately jumps out is this Boveda Virtual and that very enticing 10% return they advertise.
Yeah.
To really assess whether that's a worthwhile opportunity, we need to understand what kind of investment strategy they're using to generate those returns.
Okay.
It's unlikely they're achieving that with low-risk investments.
It's interesting you bring that up. I was reading through their website.
Yeah.
And while they highlight the potential for high returns, they're a little vague on the specifics of the investment strategy. They talk about security and stability, but don't really delve into the underlying mechanisms.
That lack of transparency should be a red flag for any savvy investor. Before putting your money into any investment vehicle, you need to understand how it works, what assets they're investing in, and what the historical performance has been.
Okay.
You should also carefully consider the potential downsides.
Yeah.
What happens if the market takes a downturn?
Right.
Are your funds protected?
Those are really good points. It's easy to get caught up in the allure of a high return.
Yeah.
But it's crucial to understand the full picture, including the potential risks involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask those tough questions.
Yeah.
Reach out to Broxel directly.
Okay.
And ask for more detailed information about their investment strategy for the Boveda Virtual. Ask about their risk management practices and how they protect your funds in the event of a market downturn.
Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about a feature that I found quite innovative.
Okay.
The CobraCon Unlink service that lets you receive payments through a WhatsApp link.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like a really convenient way to collect money from people, whether you're splitting a bill with friends, selling something online, or getting paid for freelance work.
It definitely speaks to that desire for frictionless financial transactions.
Right.
People are already using WhatsApp for communication and sharing.
Right.
So why not incorporate payments into that ecosystem?
Yeah.
It's all about meeting people where they are.
And Broxel is capitalizing on that trend.
Yeah.
They're integrating financial services into platforms that people are already using on a daily basis.
Right.
It's smart from a business perspective, but it also raises some interesting questions about data privacy and security.
You're absolutely right. As financial transactions become increasingly integrated into social media and messaging platforms, it's crucial to consider the implications for data security and privacy.
Okay.
Are those platforms adequately equipped to handle sensitive financial information?
Right.
Are there appropriate safeguards in place to protect against fraud and data breaches?
Yeah.
These are questions that both users and platform providers need to be asking.
That's a really good point. Convenience should never come at the expense of security.
Right.
And speaking of convenience, let's talk about this CobraCon Elope feature, which essentially turns your phone into a mobile payment terminal.
Interesting.
It seems like a game changer for small businesses or anyone who needs to take card payments on the go.
It definitely lowers the barrier to entry for accepting card payments.
Right.
Which could be a huge advantage for smaller businesses, freelancers, and entrepreneurs. No longer do you need a bulky traditional terminal to process transactions.
Right.
You can accept payments anywhere, anytime using just your phone.
I'm picturing a street vendor selling crafts, a food truck owner taking orders, a freelance photographer getting paid on the spot.
Yeah.
The possibilities seem endless.
Exactly. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities for mobile businesses and entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And it aligns perfectly with Broxel's overall strategy of convenience and accessibility.
Right.
They're trying to provide tools that empower people to manage their finances and conduct business on their own terms.
Now, while we're talking about accessibility, let's circle back to those additional services that Broxel offers.
Okay.
Like their travel club bill payment options and insurance.
Right.
It's interesting how they're trying to position themselves as a one-stop shop for all your financial needs.
It's a strategy we're seeing more and more in the financial industry.
Right.
Companies are realizing that customers value convenience.
Yeah.
And are more likely to stay loyal to a platform that offers a comprehensive suite of services. It's all about building that ecosystem where users can manage every aspect of their financial lives in one place.
It makes sense from a business perspective.
Right.
But from a consumer standpoint, it's important to be discerning and to shop around.
Right.
Just because a company offers a wide range of services doesn't necessarily mean they're the best provider for each individual service.
Exactly. You always want to do your research and compare offerings from different providers to make sure you're getting the best value for your money. For example, Broxel emphasizes its competitive rates for receiving money from the U.S.
Yeah.
But how do those rates actually compare to other remittance services?
Right.
That's something you'd want to investigate carefully.
Yeah.
Don't just take their word for it.
Good advice. Always do your due diligence. Now, let's touch on a feature that's specifically designed for families.
Yeah.
The family plan, which allows parents to give their kids a prepaid card with a range of parental controls. They can set limits on where the card can be used, how much can be spent, and even track their children's spending habits.
Right.
It's an interesting approach to financial literacy and parental oversight.
It's definitely a reflection of the growing awareness of the importance of financial literacy, especially for younger generations.
Right.
However, it's important to consider whether this approach is truly effective in teaching kids about money management.
Yeah.
Or simply a way to create a new generation of customers.
That's a good point. Is it genuinely empowering kids to make responsible financial decisions? Or is it simply creating a more controlled environment where their spending is closely monitored?
It's a valid question.
Right.
And it's one that parents need to consider carefully.
Yeah.
There are other approaches to financial literacy, such as gamified learning apps or interactive workshops that might be more engaging and effective in teaching kids about money management.
And ultimately, it's about finding the approach that best suits your family's needs and values.
Right.
Now, let's dive into a feature that I found particularly intriguing.
Cool.
And that's the ability to customize how your Broxel card is used.
Interesting.
You can set limits on where, when, and how much can be spent. It's almost like giving yourself a set of financial guardrails.
That level of control can be incredibly empowering for both individuals and families.
Yeah.
You can set those limits to help you stay on track with your budget, avoid overspending, and protect yourself from potential fraud.
For example, you could restrict your card to only be used at certain stores.
Right.
Or for specific types of purchases, like groceries or gas.
Okay.
You could set daily or weekly spending limits to help you stay within your budget.
Yeah.
And you could even set up alerts to notify you whenever a transaction is made. It's like having a personal financial assistant in your pocket.
And for parents, it's a powerful tool for teaching their kids about responsible spending habits.
Right.
They can set those limits and boundaries to guide their children's financial decisions.
Right.
And help them learn valuable money management skills.
I'm really impressed with the level of thought and innovation that Broxel has put into these features.
Yeah.
They're going beyond the basics of banking and offering tools that empower people to manage their finances in a way that aligns with their individual needs and values.
It's definitely refreshing to see a company that's pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the world of finance.
But before we get too carried away, it's important to remember that Broxel is still a business.
Right.
And their primary goal is to make a profit. So while they're offering all these innovative features and services, it's essential to be aware of the potential downsides, the fees, the terms and conditions, and the risks involved.
You're absolutely right. Convenience and innovation shouldn't come at the expense of transparency and consumer protection.
Right.
So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, let's take a closer look at some of those potential downsides, the things you need to be aware of before making any decisions about Broxel.
Okay, so we've explored the ins and outs of Broxel's offerings, from their core solutions to their additional services and those intriguing features that really set them apart.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, let's shift gears and talk about some of the potential drawbacks, things you should be considering before making any decisions about Broxel.
Absolutely. It's crucial to approach any financial service with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Right.
And to do your due diligence. Just because a company presents itself as innovative and convenient doesn't mean they're immune to the same pitfalls as traditional financial institutions.
Exactly. So let's start with the elephant in the room, that 10% return promised on their Boveda Virtual.
Yeah.
It's a bold claim, and it definitely raises some red flags.
Remember, there's no such thing as a risk-free high return.
Right.
To achieve returns that are significantly above market averages, you typically need to take on a higher level of risk.
Oh, okay.
So the first question you should be asking is, What's the underlying investment strategy?
Right.
What are they investing in that allows them to generate those returns, and what are the potential risks involved?
And that's where things get a little murky.
Yeah.
Broxel's website is somewhat vague about the specifics of their investment strategy. They talk about diversification and security, but don't really delve into the details.
That lack of transparency should give you pause. Before investing any money, you need a clear understanding of where your funds are going.
Okay.
How they're being managed, and what the historical performance has been.
Right.
You should also carefully consider the potential downsides. What happens if the market takes a downturn? Are your funds protected?
It's also worth considering the fees associated with the Boveda Virtual.
Yeah.
Are there any hidden costs or management fees that could eat into your returns?
It's essential to read the fine print.
Right.
And understand all the associated costs before making any investment decisions.
Okay.
Remember, even small fees can significantly impact your returns over time.
Another thing to consider is Broxel's heavy reliance on technology and their app-based platform.
Right.
While this can be incredibly convenient, it also introduces potential vulnerabilities.
You're absolutely right. Anytime you're dealing with financial transactions online or through an app, you need to be aware of the potential risks of cyber attacks, data breaches, and fraud.
Right.
It's important to make sure that Broxel has robust security measures in place to protect your personal and financial information.
And speaking of security, let's talk about their integration of financial services into platforms like WhatsApp.
Yeah.
While it's incredibly convenient to be able to send and receive payments through messaging apps,
Right.
it also raises concerns about data privacy and the potential for misuse.
It's a valid concern. As our lives become increasingly intertwined with technology, we need to be mindful of how our data is being collected, stored, and used. It's essential to understand Broxel's data privacy policies and how they protect your information when you're using their services in conjunction with third-party platforms.
So while Broxel offers a lot of innovative features and potential benefits, it's crucial to approach them with a critical eye and to do your research before making any decisions.
Absolutely. Don't let the allure of convenience and high returns cloud your judgment.
Right.
Take the time to understand the potential downsides, read the fine print, and ask those tough questions.
Excellent advice. And always remember, diversifying your financial portfolio is key. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Explore different options, compare offerings, and choose the services that best align with your individual needs and financial goals.
And if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
Trust your instincts. Do your research and make informed decisions.
Well, there you have it, a deep dive into Broxel Financial Services. We've explored their core offerings, their innovative features, and their potential drawbacks. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to use Broxel is a personal one, but hopefully this deep dive has provided you with the knowledge and insights you need to make an informed choice. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your finances. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.